All right, I'm Jerry Loughran. I'm the owner and founder here at Loughran's Olympic Boxing and Martial Arts here in London, Kentucky.
My name is Wyatt Probus. I am from Williamsburg, Kentucky, and I am the East Tennessee Golden Glove Champion amateurs.
I'm Wyatt Loughran. I have one bout, and I compete here at Loughran's Boxing on the competition team.
And I'm Samantha Buttery. I'm from Corbin, Kentucky, and I am the Blue-Eyed Devil.
Awesome. You guys can't see my face right now, but my name is Masen Wise, and I am heading the podcast for here at Jerry Loughran's gym. And we're going to go and get started today. It's our very first episode together. We're working out the kinks. This is pretty much a first time for all three of you here. Jerry, you've had some radio experience, so we're going to go ahead and introduce you to our guests here. And we're going to start off with Samantha. Samantha, tell us about yourself. You got this big, pretty blue belt that I'm completely jealous of because the only belts I ever won were the cheapest, ugliest things, and that is something I would actually hang up on my wall. I threw the other ones out in the trash. So why don't you go ahead and tell us about that?
Well, I'm currently the 145 weight champion with Aries. I have actually fought for the title 3 times, and I guess third time is the charm. I've also on the USA team. I have fought at the World Combat Games in Saudi Arabia. I got third place. I fought in Argentina for the Pan Am Worlds, and I got second. And I fought in Bangkok at Worlds, and I got third for the U.S. I was getting ready to go to Indonesia, but some personal things come up, so I haven't. I didn't get to go to that one, but I think me and Jury is going to have some pro debut.
Awesome. And what do you have to say about that, Jerry?
She's done really well. I think the international experience has benefited her as a mixed martial artist. We've been working together about 2.5 years now. She came to me. She had the extensive jiu-jitsu background, but she was a little light on the striking end, so that's how we got introduced. Actually, be quite honest, I had no aspirations to jump into the mixed martial arts world. We were kind of inundated with our boxing. I think at that time we had 4 boxers ranked in the top 5 nationally. So when she came along, I just looked at it as, okay, that's a challenge, because you hear certain people say, well, if the mixed martial arts coach jumped over in the boxing world, they would fail. And then you surely hear that on the boxing side. So I said, okay, well, what are they going to do when we jump over there and we're still winning? And she's done really well, and she won that title. It was a great fight. It's been about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
5-rounder. They do 5.
Have you ever heard the biggest headache in my rear end?
What's that?
That's me, for Jerry.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And so Jerry, you've had a lot of experience coaching. How long have you been coaching?
I actually started. I'm retired from Lexington Police Department, so I started their police athletic league back in April of 2008. And then I retired and moved home and opened this gym, not this facility, but our previous facility in 2016. So I'm at 16 years straight now, almost 17. I had 4 national champions and 3 world champions in Lexington before I ever came back home, and then I come back home and start from scratch.
And how was it, the transition from going big city back to little old country town?
What I found, what the hardest part of that is competing at a real high level, coaching. I was already an Olympic certified coach. I was the number 1 alternate for the 2012 Olympics. I was the next phone call if somebody couldn't go. To go from that to back to training all brand new boxers, that's really hard, and it can be humbling. It can be humbling just because. Something, putting that into practice, putting that into their brain, developing the athlete, you have to check every box when you start over because you don't have any experience in the gym. One experienced boxer in the gym affects everybody, but starting over at 0 and everybody inexperienced, it was pretty humbling. It took us, that was 2018, and then by 2021 we had 5 boxers ranked in the top 5 nationally. It took us 3 years here in London, Kentucky. To put that in perspective, nobody in London, Kentucky had ever boxed in a national tournament before in history. And now all of a sudden you've got 5 people ranked in the top 5. That's pretty difficult.
So that is a definite accolade for you as a coach. That stands out about how you train fighters here.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like I'm a big Nick Saban guy. I think you could put Nick Saban in any school, Division I, and he's going to be right there at the top within 3 to 5 years. Because the catalyst is him. So I embraced the challenge, but it was more of a challenge than what you think it is, starting over from zero. When you're used to coaching at a certain level, and then all of a sudden you have to really drop your technique, drop your communication, and start over.
Right, and I think that's one thing that most people don't understand about just fighting in general. A lot of it comes down to how good the coach is, right? Because we seen the big dips in Mike Tyson's career when Cus D'Amato was out of the picture, and who knows where Tyson could have been if Cus was always around. He didn't get mixed up with bad management, bad teams. I definitely think that's a huge part of fighting is who your coach is. Does he know how to coach you? Does he know what he's talking about, or is he a snake oil salesman?
Right, and you really have you have to be a great coach. There are certain coaches that coach one particular style great, and the person has to have the genetics. Like say you like to teach a Ali style. Well, if you like to teach a Ali style, you're only going to excel with athletes with Ali genetics. You're not going to excel with Mike Tyson genetics. So, to me, a great coach can coach all the different styles and all the different body types, and they're humble enough to learn it, and they're humble enough to ask questions. That's the really difficult part with coaching, is to be able to do all that, and the mental side of it. What do I say to this particular athlete at this use Coach Patino. He can get kids to lose 50 pounds from one year to the next and play exactly the way that he envisions them playing in his mind. And that's the communication part of it, and being all things to all different ones. And try not to lose any. The only variable that causes the athlete not to succeed is the athlete themselves. You don't want to be that variable that caused them to fail.
True, very true. Going back to you, Samantha. So your entire fight experience was primarily just in grappling. Well, what got you into grappling in general?
Well, with my first relationship, I actually was a victim of domestic violence. So coming out of that, I really wanted to learn how to protect myself, which I think every female should go into some sort of training or discipline. And my coach then was like, Samantha, you're kind of getting good at this. You want to start competing. And then kind of got obsessed with it a little bit. So I started competing. I started winning a lot. Started competing at high-level jiu-jitsu, going to Worlds and Pan Ams. I'm actually a silver medalist in the Pan Ams right now. And
big accomplishment.
It's tough. Those the higher you get, the tougher it is. And my coach then was like, hey, you're getting really good at this. Do you want to start getting into striking? And that's when I actually started getting into the mixed martial arts part of it.
Right. And I would definitely say Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a great martial art for women. If you're a woman and you want to get started in martial arts, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is great. It plays to the strengths of a woman, because in jiu-jitsu, the more flexible and the stronger the legs you have, the better athlete you are in jiu-jitsu, period. And for women, naturally, stronger legs, extremely flexible. And you can be a very large guy. If a 130-pound, 120-pound woman gets behind you, sinks in a full rear naked choke on you, you're going to go out, especially you don't know how to defend.
Takes just barely enough to break an egg, the pressure.
It's like, 15 pounds of pressure?
Mm-hmm. And jiu-jitsu is for the underdog. Like, if you're smaller, jiu-jitsu works your way a lot of the time as long as your technique is good. Strength plays a big role in it, but if they ain't got no technique and you do, then most of the time you can come on top.
Right. And so getting into striking, what brought you into Jerry's life as far as striking goes, and where were you at? What was boxing the first thing you picked up, or was it Taekwondo? What else was it?
Well, started getting into wrestling, jiu-jitsu and wrestling, and then judo. Started getting into judo. But then when I was fighting, I really started knowing the fact that I lacked my stand-up game. So I got into kickboxing, and there wasn't a whole lot of great striking coaches around, and then I heard of Jury, and I was like, I've got to get to Jury's gym. I've got to work on my boxing. And Jury's worked with me for about 2 years, and my striking is on point and is better than it ever has been.
Awesome.
One thing that we discovered in that process, though, a lot of folks think that they can go in a training camp, an 8-week training camp. They think they can go get a hired gun, a Freddie Roach or something like that, and just monumentally change their striking in an 8-week training camp. You cannot. What happened was we'd probably been working together 4 months or so, and she was looking good in the gym, what have you. I kept with her. I kept all her kicks waist high. She's got a really good teep and really good leg kicks. All of her kick. You don't want to spend any time on your back in the amateur MMA because with only a 3-minute round, you could give the round away. So we kept all the kicks waist high and below. But what we found out was after like 4 months, even though she looked good in the gym, the first fight together, even though she won, was it end of the first round or beginning of the second? Beginning of the second, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The first fight together, you couldn't tell that she had any boxing training whatsoever. It hadn't had enough time to sink in.
My fight scars
under
started coming out.
Yes, under live fire, it wasn't enough time for it to really permeate. It was a year. It was the next fight after that she just boxed this girl's ears in the whole first round, and the girl quits on the stool. But anybody thinking that I can have less than stellar striking training and then I can fix it in an 8-week training camp, you're badly mistaken. It's going to take a year to get that up to a functional level.
When I first started boxing, it took me about 6 months, maybe 4 months before I stopped getting my brains beat in by the guys that are in my gym. And I started out in Cleveland on the west side.
Nobody's taking it easy on you up there.
Definitely not.
Spoke before, but I know a lot of those coaches. Coach Sappho up there is one of the best coaches in the nation.
Oh yeah, it's hard. Everyone likes to talk about hard sparring online. Out in Cleveland, it was hard sparring all the time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But
the goal is to run you out of the gym.
That's exactly that's exactly what happened. I'll have to talk more in depth about that later. Shout out to Coach Flex. But all right, so Wyatt, and actually before I get to you, Wyatt,
Probus.
We'll go back to you, Samantha. What's next? You're the Aries, you're the Aries 145 champion. What's next?
No one has called for me to defend this yet. But me and Jerry's been talking. We've had several conversations about it, and I think that we're going to go pro. I'm going to work on my weight. Jerry wants me at 135 for my next pro fight. And I think we've actually had several promotions we've been talking to that would like to see me debut on their show. And I think that's what my goal is next, to get my debut pro.
Awesome.
It takes, correct me if I'm wrong, it's 4 pro fights before UFC will consider you for Ultimate Fighter. Is that correct?
I'm not really sure the credentials of all that, but I know you about have to have 3 pro fights under your belt before you can try to
even get into the
UFC. So that would be a stellar goal there.
Oh yeah.
Get those 3 or 4 under you and get an Ultimate Fighter. I've always said this. She has so much going on, right? They got businesses in Corbin, Tampa.
Yeah. Not only am I a mother of 2, I also run 5 businesses, and that gets a little hard, and it starts bugging into my training a little bit, but
so I've always said with her, if you got her in a sterile environment like that, in a true 8-week training camp, especially if she got through the first fight, so they make them fight their way in the house now, it'd be amazing what she probably could do, because she's never really had that. She's always having to straddle the fence with obligations. And still managed to become Aries mixed martial arts champion. So.
Yeah, it's a great accolade, and we'll definitely be we'll be watching you as you try to get up into the pro rankings. I'd like to see you go as far as you can go with that.
Clip this.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
Samantha, future women's champion, UFC.
Yeah, who's the 135 champion right now? I can't remember.
At 135 right now.
I don't keep
Shevchenko?
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she
Oh,
just
Shanko.
recently won it back.
She
On
just
Sean-
went back. She
Sean-
looked like
Wow.
$1 million too.
Yeah, she was on Sean O'Malley's card, I think, right?
Yeah.
But is
yeah.
she
Oh, she
125
was, yeah.
though? She's
Was
a,
it 25 or
I
35?
think she's 125.
Maybe she's like.
I thought she came up. Yeah, because she said the weight cut had been
Oh.
hurting her. Yeah,
Yeah.
she looked like $1 million.
We're gonna
She
have to
did.
Google that.
She didn't. It was. I wish it was a little bit more entertaining of a fight, but she had a game plan. She executed it flawlessly.
She
The oth-
dominated.
The other girl was
So,
helpless.
I
Helpless.
remember Craig a lot of grappling.
Oh yeah.
And that when she was
Take
taking
down.
the girl
Oh
down.
yeah, take down, ground and
dominating.
pound. She
Yeah.
the last fight she had, I think it was a decision. It went to decision, and then she had thought since it was like the Spanish fight card that a lot of the judges had some pressure on them. So
She
she
lost.
she didn't
She
want
lost the
to.
previous. Yeah.
She didn't want to have any doubt in the third one that they fought
So
for.
she just took it around, just dominate. Yeah, all the respect in the. You're not going to outwork that lady.
Yeah.
They're built different.
Yeah, she was. Her cardio was definitely on point. Great game plan. But yeah.
Yeah, that's Mount Everest though. Yeah, Shevchenko. Yeah.
All right. So, Mr. Wyatt Probus, tell us about yourself.
I'm just some random 16-year-old that picked up boxing from my brother. You know.
Was he beating up on you at home, and then you were like, "I'm gonna go learn how to fight too"?
A couple times
That
over
would be
here and there, and one day he offered me to start boxing with him. I was like, never really thought about it, because when I was like 12, I was a real nice kid and never even thought about harming somebody. But
He's the baby brother of a
Yeah.
Southpaw family.
Yeah, you guys are all southpaws, aren't you?
besides my mother and my brother, other brother.
Jeez.
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing I've noticed. I've never been in a place that's had this like when I was in Cleveland, maybe one or two southpaws.
Right.
What, we got 5 or 6 in
my
the gym?
Lord.
Yeah.
That's-
What happened to me when I first started coaching back in 2008? I hadn't even thought about having it didn't cross my mind because you're egocentric. You think about yourself, and then the first one walks in the gym, and then a lot of coaches will do one of two things. They either turn everybody southpaw, so they just train ones, and then they make an argument for doing that, or they turn southpaws right-handed and make an argument for doing that. And because you have to learn how to do everything over. Everything you do with them, like tonight we did drills, defensive drills, it's different. Holding the punch bench for them, you're starting over at ground level. But I just committed myself, back 16 years ago to learn how to do everything with them. And now what I do, if I've got a circle of boxers and say there's 8 of them in that circle and you're doing a punch mitt combination, I'll put all the southpaws together so you're not transitioning right to left-handed. It's easier on the coach once you're switching gears one time instead of a bunch. But yeah, we've got a lot of. I tend to be a southpaw magnet. I don't know what it is.
Southpaw magnet.
Southpaw magnet.
Yeah, we definitely have a hotbed down here. So now, you didn't really necessarily have a dream of getting into boxing. This was just something that spur of the moment. Brothers that come out and box.
Yeah.
And how have you liked it since?
So it sounds kind of dumb, but when I was 15 at the time, I believe, and girlfriend just broke up with me. Brother asking me if I want to join boxing. I'm tired of getting picked on. I'm like, let's do it.
Welcome to the gym, brother.
Yeah.
I think that's every man starting about just about
And-
anything. I went through a breakup, and the guys either hit the weights or they learn a martial art. It seems most men,
Level up.
Yeah.
better than wallowing in
He,
self pity.
when he started out, I mean, he's always good athlete. He's what 6'1".
Yeah.
6'1", southpaw, long, 165. But when he first started sparring, he got hit quite a bit. Wasn't the slickest guy that you had ever seen. He got, and even the style wasn't the prettiest style that you saw. But the very first time he competed in Nashville, he's in there with a tough guy from Nashville. And the third round, right, basically come down to whoever won the third round was going to win the fight. And he really showed me something. That was the first time I saw that, okay, this kid has got a little special sauce here, because he was dead tired and just dogged it out there in that third round. And then since then, nobody's made the final bell. Since then, he's been wiping the floor with him. He's 3 straight TKOs.
Wow.
Including the finals of the Southeastern Golden Gloves. Yeah,
Nice.
all stoppages.
Nice.
Yeah.
Second round, third round, or
I'm trying to remember the kid in the Golden Gloves was early third round stoppage.
Yeah,
Early third round.
I
And
took
then
it easy on him in the second round.
Yeah, now this kid. There's not very many good finishers in amateur boxing, right? You look at most people's record, and they'll be dominated by split decisions and unanimous decisions, and probably him. We haven't talked about him yet, but him and Preston Scott, the other southpaw there, that's the Muay Thai champ for Aries, and was ranked number 3 with USA Boxing 3 years ago as a 11, 12-year-old. They're probably just about 2 of the best finishers in the amateurs that I've coached. This kid will lay back, drive you crazy. He'll lay back and give the first round away, take it like he's taking notes. And then when he pulls the trigger, though, like in the second round or maybe into the first, you like to win the first round so it don't put you in the hole where you have to win the next 2. But,
Right.
But when he gets done taking notes and he pulls the trigger, and a lot of kids will, I guess it comes from a training scar and sparring, they'll get somebody on the ropes and they're working them, and then they'll just back out and give that away. And this kid won't do that. He'll stay right there, hitting you with big shots and force the referee to step in and give you standing 8 counts. But he's a really good finisher,
Awesome. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I never felt like I was a dog. One day I get into the ring, like he said, and I'm in there with a tough guy, and I'm over here dogging it out, punching until I can't punch no more. I couldn't even drop. I couldn't even squat.
Well, knowing your brother, it definitely runs in the family. That's
yeah.
It's a warrior gene. I don't know how else you could describe it. Because you and your brother, you guys got the same stance. I swear, you guys fight almost identical.
Very identical.
I think that with Wyatt, he's a little more patient, though. He'll stand back and parry a right-handed guy's jab and just kind of take some notes on him before he pulls the trigger. Whereas Alan, the first time he gets touched, he just goes into, murder, death, kill, warrior mode. Gives some things, and that's great. It's very fan pleasing, but he's a little more cerebral, But
Right.
when he pulls the trigger,
He goes off.
it's all,
Now,
Well,
when he does fight, it is a pretty entertaining show.
Yeah, it's a crowd pleaser. I used to tell my kids, and a lot of people don't understand this, and I don't know if he's won bout of the night, but if you're winning bout of the night on an amateur boxing show, probably on an MMA show too, it's not a good thing. It means you gave out punishment, but you took punishment too.
Right.
Right? When you've really arrived and it's a surgical performance, then you're not getting bout of the night. You're getting outstanding boxer, outstanding fighter, right?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that it just one day just clicked for you?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a gene that runs down our family because our ancestor was Marcus Aurelius Probus. One of the 7 successful emperors of Rome.
Yep. I know Marcus Aurelius. He's one
His
of
dad
the...
just told him not to get him fight harder.
That is a lie.
You got to represent. I was wondering what kind of a name was Probus. Because it sounded... Because I'm like...
He's pro and he rides the bus.
Yeah. I was wondering what that was. I'm like, man, that sounds very Greek. But I'm like, they don't even look Greek. You guys are whiter than white.
Hershey's.
All right.
And then Wyatt's got this weekend will be in Louisville for the state Silver Glove Championships.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he's going to be in the state Silver Glove Championships at 16, 17, 165.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you're going to try to add to the resume this weekend. Then he has a bout the very next weekend in Harrogate, Tennessee.
So in the next
show.
2 weeks, he can be 6-0.
Maybe
Has a
he
good
will
ring
be.
to it.
Because
Will
you're
be.
4-0, right?
Yeah.
He said will be.
Will be.
Will be. Yo, you gotta have that
Speak
confidence.
it.
He gets tested more here in the
He
gym.
will be.
That's something people don't get to see. Like they think, Ryan Garcia and
Tank.
Devin Haney.
No, Devin Haney. Okay, like they had fought 6 times in the amateurs, split 3-3. So like you get to see matchups here in the gym that this guy's 6-0 and he just looks totally dominant when it comes fight day. But everybody in here loses rounds. There's somebody in here on certain days that regardless of what they look like on YouTube, they're losing rounds in here.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a gym full of kids that just work really hard. You lay out a week, the guy that you were beating the week that you left is now getting you. Yeah,
Yep.
It's that close.
Oh, yeah. And there's no shame. Hey, there's no shame in losing rounds in sparring, too. That is where the fighter is made. It's in sparring. I kind of find it that the biggest transition for most guys that they look great during sparring, and then when it comes to fight night, things fall apart.
Tyson
Pressure.
said whenever they sitting there with them lights on and got a bucket of popcorn, because he said there was guys actually put it on him, and then when they come, and you turn them lights on and everything, they just can't handle the stress.
Yep.
You know, handling the stress of, you know, like Mayweather's back there asleep and they have to wake him up to wrap his hands. You know, that's what I look over, like when I was Lexington Powell, for instance, got a van full of kids and they're all sleeping on the way to a fight. And I'm like, how do you do that? Right? That's and these kids do it too. They'll be sleeping on the way to a fight. And I'm like, that shows you that they're relaxed. They're not stressed.
Yeah, I slept the whole way to Ashland Saturday. I had crazy nerves, but I still slept the whole way. It was pretty good sleep.
Yeah, you know, I actually had a problem with that after my first go at the Golden Gloves when I was 18. Something happened because I wasn't nervous at all until I won the Golden Gloves, and then after I won the Golden Gloves, all of a sudden every time I went to fight, I started getting nervous. I'm like, what if I lose? You know, and I started getting that in my head, and I'm like, you know, and I was sparring. I was hard sparring pro boxers at the time that were way beyond the skill level of any guy that I was facing at the amateurs.
Yeah.
And like I was still letting it get in my head.
But you put that monkey on your back because you don't want to take the the Goldberg.
Yep.
The Goldberg.
Ugh. But so, any closing words for you, Wyatt?
Yes, I do want to say I'm probably one of the most guilty ones in the sleeping before the fight thing.
Oh yeah.
I think we had to
definitely.
wake you. There was one we had to wake you up to wrap his hands. It may have been the gloves.
I think.
It may have been
it was the gloves and my first fight. I
I was
think.
like, let's go ahead and wake up here. You know.
Yeah, I was asleep the whole time until they wrapped my hands.
Yeah. How do you like Jerry's hand wraps? By the way, his hand wrap job.
Oh, they're tight.
Yeah.
They are tight.
Yeah, I gotta say.
I'll tell you, give a shout out on that. I was at I was Region 5 coach. If anybody doesn't understand, Region 5 encompasses Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, Lake Erie up there. And I was the Region 5 coach there in 2011. We 6 national champions. We won the men and women's. That's got Cleveland in it, Toledo, all those great boxing towns. And Rick Fernudo, that runs the Parks program in Chicago, me and Rick were the 2 coaches. And Nate Jones, that's Floyd Mayweather's buddy that's always holding the body shield for him, that was an Olympian, and he got the eye injury, ended his boxing career. But all those really good coaches would come up all week, and this was 13 years ago, and they would ask Rick Fernudo to wrap their hands. And I watched him all week, and I just said, man, this guy is the best I've ever seen at wrapping hands. So on the last day of the finals, I said, I want you to show me how to do that because you're the best I've ever seen, and that's, you're obviously better than me, right, wrapping hands. So the very first hands I wrapped, that style, was USA National Championships 2011, and we're taking on the reigning Olympian, Louis Bird, in downtown Colorado Springs, Olympic Training Center. And first fight, Louis Bird's from Denver, hadn't lost in the United States in like 6 years. Andre Ward's back there wishing us luck, taking pictures with us and everything. This kid from Cincinnati I'm coaching has got like 26 bouts. I wrap them the way Rick showed me how to wrap. And he goes out there and upsets the reigning Olympian. I said, yeah, I'm going to stay right here, right? I'm not superstitious, but we're going to stay at this style of hand wraps. And if you find somebody from Chicago, I've done this. I said, who taught me how to wrap hands, and let them see a hand wrap, and they say, Rick Fernudo, just at a glance.
Lord.
Yeah, so he's the man, and when it comes to that, and I'm not as good as him, but I try to be 80%.
I would have to say that was, when you wrapped my hands for the last fight, that was how I've always wanted my hands wrapped.
Right.
Oh,
it was just
awesome.
like when I was closing my fist, I'm like, oh, that's gonna hurt.
Grenades.
Yeah.
But that's who I learned from, and I just sit back and watch him, and I'm like, man, this guy's and like I said, I'm 80% of what he is, maybe 85 on a good day. But I mean, he's just an absolute. It's a thing of beauty, artist. But that's once you get a hand injury though, it's going to plague you your whole career. I mean, look at Floyd. When he fights, he has a hand specialist coming by and doing all the extras. And people gripe at welterweight because he's not knocking people out. Well, he knocked people out at 130 and 135.
Right.
But
Back when he was Pretty Boy.
The money was at 147 because Oscar was at 147.
Oh, yeah.
So I can go up to that weight and just box people's ears in for 12 rounds and get paid. The other boxer's job is not to let him. Yeah, but you'd be better off not to develop the hand problems because once you do, it's going to plague you.
Now, would you say you've had to change your wrapping technique for my hands where I have to grab people?
Yeah, on the MMA side, yeah, that's a little bit of a growth point. On the MMA side, they've got to have that, be able to use that thumb. Where in boxing, you're just worried about immobilizing the thumb,
So
right?
you're completely ignoring the wraps going around right here.
Yeah, no, I'll go ahead, like with her hands, I'll wrap them traditional boxing style, but then what I'll do is I'll start coming down between the index finger and the thumb there and kind of whittling away just a little bit of time and open that up until she can open that hand fully and grab with her full power.
It's actually real funny to watch him wrap my hands because I'm always like, Jay, it's not loose enough.
Yeah, it's not loose enough. And I feel like I'm sinning, when you start cutting on that hand wrap and you know that it's perfect to protect the hand. You feel like you're doing something wrong, but so we'll just start whittling away with it until she has her full grip.
Right.
Right.
Huh. Interesting. And I guess we're back to you for the final little roundup here, Mr. Wyatt Loughran. Is it Loughran or Loughran?
It's lock the
Loughran.
door and run.
Loughran.
It's an Irish name. They were
Loughran.
drunk when they made it. When I went to Ireland in 2012, I took a girl for USA Boxing, and we fought Katie Taylor, who just fought Amanda Serrano. We fought her 2 different towns. We fought her in Cork, and then we boxed her again in Dungarvan, and that was her 2 bouts to get ready for her Olympic preparation. It was so relieving for people to know how to pronounce your name, right, because it's Irish. But then Jerry Mahoney, he was the mayor of Dungarvan. They would look at Jerry when he'd introduce me, and he'd say he's got Irish blood in him, but he's a Yank. And then the conversation was cool after that, right? Because they know my accent don't belong over there. But anyway, I'll let you get back to it.
All right. Tell us about yourself, Wyatt. What's it like? What's it like to have a stud coach for a dad?
It's pretty cool at sometimes, you go to school, your dad pick you up, and then you come to school the next day. All the girls are like, "Your dad's so cute." Oh my God.
Well, I know your pain. But so, has boxing always been a passion for you, or was this something that, was this something that you just, because you were around it so much, seeing how your dad was training all these up and coming kids, was that something that made you want to go out and do it, or was it just something that you thought, on your own, like, this is cool, I want to learn how to do this?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
Yeah, so I've been around the gym my whole life. I'm 5 years old, been around watching, and I've always been training on and off, I'd been sparring Amy when she started and stuff, and then I just quit until we moved in here. Been training my butt off ever since. So
it's good to get started. And how old? And you're what, 11?
I'm 12.
You're 12.
12.
I wish I would have started
2 weeks ago.
I wish I would have started boxing when I was 12. I didn't start until I was 17. And
Me too.
He was playing basketball there, 2 years of elementary and what have you. And what the hard part about that, I really didn't want him to box. Right? I didn't want to. Both of my kids and me are like 2 bulls just bumping heads.
Oh,
Even my
Lord.
daughter, like our text, are just wow. She's a senior in college, and it's just like 2 Brahma bulls, going head to head. So I didn't want to deal with that. I just want to be dad. And then he just kept on, wouldn't take no for an answer. But the difference is when you criticize your kid in practice, it's my dad criticizing me.
not the
not
coach.
Right? They can't. He has a hard time separating the two, and I said I can't. Because, anytime you turn them in for a show, now it's done online, they're going to know exactly who you are with that last name. And
Yeah.
they're going to expect – it's going to make that easier for that other coach to spur his guys because you're going to be boxing the coach's son. So you have to demand the best out of them. But, yeah, it's really hard to separate the two. I've got a good friend of mine that he said the worst thing he ever did was coach. His son was Mr. Basketball for Kentucky.
Really?
But he says the worst thing I ever did was coach my son. It just drove a big wedge. And this guy's like real humble and everything, but it's really tough because you can't let them get by with something that you're not letting everybody else get by because kids pick up on fairness instantaneously.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So,
Oh, yeah.
but he has worked really, really hard, like the last 6-8 months to earn it. And And I realize at times you'll see him sparring somebody better, and you realize, okay, I'm kind of sandbagging a little, holding him back a little too much on the development side. Like he sparred a left-handed kid from Chattanooga. We did that USA Boxing National Sparring Day.
National Sparring Day.
And the kid was 200 pounds, outweighed him by 50 pounds, and the referee was even like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, ring the bell." But he did really well, despite the size difference. So.
Oh yeah.
But when I started, and I was just fooling around sometimes, hopping in practice, and Dad started seeing me in like kids class and stuff. He started seeing me. He's like, I was scrolling in Ashland, and there's a kid, 140, 11 years old. I was 11 at the time, right? He's 11 years old, 140, 0 bouts, from Ashland in his hometown. It's like, yeah, let's do it. So from there, Alan trained me the whole way up that fight. Got canceled the day of, pretty bummed. And I begged. It took a lot of begging from my dad to put me on his class. Took a lot of begging.
But you're here.
Yeah,
well,
I am.
A lot of those kids, he's 12. A lot of those kids in that competition class are teenagers that run 5 and 6 minute miles.
Oh yeah.
So it's really hard to fit in.
It's hard. It's hard on me.
Yeah.
Like on the runs, I'm always last place unless somebody showed up 5 minutes before.
Samantha shows up.
Unless I show up. Then I'm the last one.
But unless somebody shows up and they ate a Wendy's sandwich 5 minutes before they came, that's when I'm not last. That's why I'm not last.
For me.
But I try to keep. It's hard to explain to a kid that's prepubescent that when you're post-pubescent, like a year or two from now, you're going to get that turbo boost. But they've never felt that, so it's hard for them to relate.
I don't think I ever got one of those turbo boosts.
You didn't get that turbo boost.
Oh, yeah, you're in for it, buddy. It hits you like a train.
And if you're training, I had a kid. Of course, the kid I had in Lexington, he's unfortunately deceased now. But I'll never forget, like we had an amateur show. At 12 years old, he's 74 pounds, shredded, right? Exactly a year later, I put this kid on the scale, and he's 100 pounds, shredded. So, like, if you're doing combat training, a real strenuous activity like that, as you hit male puberty, I really think that explosion is magnified because you're telling the human body we're living really tough. Yep. We need all you got. We need all the growth hormone, all the testosterone you can give me. But, I mean, for a kid to gain 33% body mass in 1 year,
and lean,
I would have never believed it if I hadn't been the one weighing the kid on the scale.
Yep, nope. I was for me, I was a late bloomer in high school. But when it hit me, I was like I was 16. It was the end of my sophomore year, and I had started getting the weightlifting pretty heavy my sophomore year. Was putting on like good, I was toning up, getting big. I was like 170 at the end of my sophomore year, and dedicated. I quit every other sport except for jiu-jitsu, but I wasn't even that serious. But I went like twice a week, and I was just trying to use that more as cardio. I devoted my entire summer to eating and lifting with my dad, and I came.
Blew up.
What's that?
Blew up.
Oh, yeah. I came back. I came back over the 3-month summer break, junior year, 235.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I was just, and then everyone was just like, "I think he's saucing." I'm like, "No, dude, I've been eating 7,000 calories a day."
I'll tell you a good one back. This is 1989. I'm 52. End of my sophomore year, I'm into being lean. I'm about 145. Right. Mongo at one of these lean guys' desk. And then I get into junior year, I'm getting strong and getting into. So my junior year, there was a place back here in London. Back then, everybody will remember Sweet Hollow. And they had a gym. It was the only gym you could go to around. So they had a 200-pound club, 300-pound club. Get your name written on the wall. So I'm probably benching 270, and I go in there junior year and get on the 200 club. But I know I couldn't bench 3 yet. Well, I go 6 months later. Now I went from 145 in 2-year period to 200. Kind of bulky. I go 6 months later, and I get in a 300-pound club, like right at the beginning of my senior year. Well, I'm on the bicycle, and this guy asks me, he comes up and he says, "Hey, what kind of steroids are you on?" And there was no internet. Now think about 1989. There's no internet.
You had to
no
know
nothing.
somebody.
You had to know somebody that knew something. Yeah. And I was so ignorant to it. I said, "You mean there's different kinds?" Like I thought there was one bottle that said steroid on it, and that's what you smuggled across the border or something. And
Yeah, with your buddy
and the guy
Dimitri.
just looked at me like I was holding out on the source. I really didn't know.
Where do you get your juice from? I don't know. My mom does all the grocery shopping.
Back
Yeah.
a little bit back to the how I got into boxing type thing. It was kind of a lot to do with my weight. I was nobody was making fun of me at school. Nobody really messes with me at school.
Right.
But it was just a personal thing, And I was like, I got a machine in here to lose tons of weight. I've already lost 10 pounds just training in like a year.
Yep.
Pretty good shape too. But I've had, and of course it just went from there. And
Yeah. And no,
now I'm competing.
Yep,
so.
you're right up my alley, buddy. Because I was shaped just like you when I was your age, except when I was 12, I was 175, and I was about 6 inches shorter than you.
He was a fire plug.
Yeah, I literally was just.
He looked like a tree stump.
Yeah, I was a great lineman for football, and I was just short and come back. And the funny thing was that as chunky as I was actually top 5 in our class for the mile run. I was running 7-minute 40-second miles at that
You're
weight.
moving that weight good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was I remember a friend of mine. He had been training for the mile because he wanted to be number 1, and we came down to the mile test, and he came in 6th place behind me, or it was either 6th or 5th place behind me. And he went home and told his dad. He's just like, "Yeah, Mason beat me." He was just like, "Mason? Your buddy Mason that comes over here, the one that eats a whole large pizza, Mason?" And his dad told my dad, he was just like, "That's a lot of lug for him to be lugging around like that." And my dad's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I don't know where the cardio comes from. He's always just been really good with it." Now it's a different story. I've gotten older, and I think you've seen it. And I get tired pretty quick.
Well,
now.
people like I've had coached thousands of kids now, and I've had a lot of kids, because we're a very sedentary society right now. I've had a lot of kids come in at a young age, and they're already on, diabetic medication, metformin, what have you, and then they go to the doctor after 6 months of training, and they say, "What have you been doing? You don't need this anymore." And so people think you're trying to, and you are, you are in sales, when you got a gym, but you tell them, your child's going to be in the best shape of their life if they come in here and give a good effort. And middle school is tough. Kids are brutal.
Oh my gosh! Tell me about it.
Yeah, when you stand out, and they're going to be brutal until there's no human beings left. That's just the reality. So, you're giving yourself or your child, the gift of not being made fun of. It's sad to say, but kids are going to make fun of it. Anything that's outside the norm, human beings are wired to notice it. And but to have a kid come in and they get in that kind of condition, I mean, we've got a kid we referred to here. He had a high percentage of body fat, but he's what you would consider slim when he started. Now he's putting his food on a scale, weighs his carbs on a scale, and the kid's about 145 now. 17. I'm talking about Mongo.
Yeah.
Veins in his abs. I mean,
he's shredded.
We went to the lake. He looks like he ought to be a model for. The new Marky Mark, Calvin Klein model or something. Wyatt's sitting here and he can't relate. Probus, because he's always been skinny and he can eat anything and never gain a pound.
Jabroni.
Well, Coach, is there anything else we want to touch on?
No, I mean we've got a lot of stuff coming up. We've got Silver Gloves this weekend, and then next weekend we're Harrogate, Tennessee for a club show. The following Saturday, the Preston Scott kid that's the reigning Aries Fight Series Muay Thai champion, he's going to fight in the Agoge Fight League, and it's right outside of Nashville there. I never can remember the name of that little small town, but it's right outside Nashville, so he's going to try to be a 2-league champion, so to speak, and then then 2 days after that, we'll be going to Richmond, Virginia for the 2024 USAs. He's going to be at the 15-16, which is Junior Olympic division at 145. So trying to go for that. And then we've got middle of January, we got a region silver gloves in Indianapolis. 2 weeks after that, got national silver gloves in Independence, Missouri. So we are really – it's cut into my deer hunting.
Everyone knows you're out serious, Jerry.
I feel like Preston's just now scratching the surface.
Oh, this kid.
Oh, he's a stud.
Yeah, we'll get him on the show next time. This kid is he's one of the other best finishers that I've and he's a cardio monster.
He's only 14.
He's only 14.
He just turned 15 last week.
Last week, so 15 years old.
And kid, when he won that Aries, anybody that wants to pull up like Aries on YouTube, Aries Fight Series.
It was by Victory.
When he won that Aries, it was pretty scary. I mean, you don't want to just throw anybody in a boxing ring or in a cage in a Muay Thai fight with this kid. I mean, he's
lethal.
He's like Dolph Lundgren there in Rocky IV. It's that kind of stuff.
See, I was there.
He's hit puberty now. Is what's happening?
Yeah, and he can take a shot too. He's not just a guy who
looks
can
like
give
a model, but
Yeah.
fights like a savage.
Yep.
Yeah. The kid is
He's tough.
And he was ranked number 3 in the nation in boxing just 3 years ago. So
and he's got the type of versatility to where he can make his career in boxing or MMA. Obviously, you've got with boxing, is boxing's where the money's at.
Yeah. Well, all of his training, ironically, is stand up. He started out Muay Thai at 5 years old. Started competing Muay Thai at 5 years old. He boxed on the first ever show we'd ever had in London in history, amateur show, March of 2019. And then after he boxed on that show, his parents called me that week and asked me if I would work with him. And I was like, yeah, sure. So that's when we started working together after we met on the show. And, I mean, this kid, he doesn't care on the road, anything. I mean, he's top-notch. I won't be a bit surprised if he wins the National Junior Olympics, the USA National Junior Olympics. It won't surprise me. Yeah, he's at that level, and he's been competing at that level. And then turn around right before we leave on the trip and win a Muay Thai title. Like, how do you switch gears back and forth like that?
Yeah,
right, and not knee somebody in the body. He's special.
Yes,
him and Wyatt were sparring.
Last
Thursday.
Hey, that was entertaining.
Had to get on to him about 3 times. Yeah, had 2 southpaws. That's the advantage too to be had. People don't realize is that any decent gym in America has a southpaw or 2 in it.
Definitely.
Right? The big advantage is do you have southpaw on southpaw sparring?
Yeah.
That's comparable, where they can
that.
both really go pretty hard,
Yeah.
pretty close to 100%. That's where the numbers game helps you quite a bit, is when you have those kind of matchups in the gym. Yeah, you need a slick guy you can yell at Billy to get in the ring. You need a banger, and you've got that. You need 2 southpaws. Yeah, so they were in there just last week. I think I had to get onto them 3 or 4 times. Hey, we're sparring, we're not killing. But you'd rather, in law enforcement terms, I had that explained to me that you'd rather have that guy that's got that drive and got that dog and have to pull the reins back on him than have to spur somebody.
Exactly.
So that's where we're headed. It's going to be an exciting year coming up. We're looking. We're probably going to have our first pro show here in London. Which would be the first pro show since 2008. Wow. So it'd be a 17-year hiatus since there's been professional. And when I say professional boxing, we're not going to have guys that's going to lay down that they look like chewed bubblegum and they lay down in 30 seconds and get a $400 check. We're not doing that, right? If you pay money to come to one of our pro shows, right? It's
you're seeing a fight.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fight. It's gonna be 2 prepared athletes.
Right.
Showing up.
No Jake Paul stuff.
Yeah, no Jake Paul.
No Jake Paul. No Mike Tyson. No Mike Tyson.
We didn't even get on that topic. We can touch on that on the
next
one.
Let's go ahead. We'll wrap up with that one. The Tyson and Paul fight.
Yeah, last subject.
Who else is disappointed?
Oh my gosh, boring fight.
I believe that was his retirement plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, get that 20 mil and leave.
Yep. I think it was more like 40, wasn't it?
No, Jake got
40 and 20.
Yeah, Jake got 40 and Mike Tyson got 20.
Probus, what's your opinion?
Well, you look at Mike Tyson's sparring and his training, and it looks nothing like he looked like in that ring.
No.
You see gestures done by Jake, and then you see Mike Tyson do something after that gesture, or you see Mike Tyson bite his glove and then Jake do something, or I think it's a little scripted, or maybe not scripted, but
Mike was financially compensated to perform a certain way.
Yes,
They made,
definitely.
they made a deal, and let's say that he did look like $1 million in training, and he hurts the knee the week before the fight. I mean, he could hardly get in and out of the ring.
Yeah.
And when I saw the way his right knee was bandaged and the way he was moving, I said his only prayer is hit him with the left hook because he's not going to be able to launch the right hand. What do you owe the fans? You owe the fans to show up and be the best version of you and try to win for their money. That's what you owe them. And if his knee was really hurt that bad, that fight should have been postponed or canceled. I mean, they basically – I was a huge Mike Tyson fan. When I met Buster Douglas – he took pictures with two of my boxers. He said, "You want your picture?" And I said, "No, you broke my heart." Yeah. And Buster's my buddy now, right? And his coach Reeves that raised him. I just saw him Saturday, greet with a hug, everything. But Mike, the last time Mike Tyson was what everybody remembers was June of 1988 when he beat Michael Spinks. That was his last fight with Kevin Rooney, the last person that really trained him that would really hold his feet to the fire. Mike Tyson has been stealing money since June of 1988 because we all pay the money wanting to see that June 1988 Tyson, and he hasn't been that guy for 36 years.
Yep.
So the fans are in control. If the fans say, I'm not going to pay money to watch Jake Paul fight anymore unless he fights somebody real, then he'll have to go do something else. But as long as people keep paying – now, let's say that was the best women's fight you'll ever see.
Yeah.
Oh, that was.
Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano are the two best women to ever be in a ring together at the same time.
I agree with that statement.
Yeah.
I will also say Serrano got robbed in that decision.
I've got to go back. You know what I do? I go back and watch it with the volume muted.
Yes.
Because that can really, especially when Manny Pacquiao used to fight. Gigi be mad at me. My wife's from the Philippines. When Manny Pacquiao used to fight, the announcers were so empathetic toward him that it would influence the way you felt about it. So go back, mute the volume, and watch it round by round. Put a one over here for this guy or her girl, or a one over here. And I haven't done that yet, but it was so close that if it had been 5 rounds apiece, she loses by 1 point on the point deduction. Katie would. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I personally I scored it. I had Serrano winning 6 of those rounds.
Well, then it would be a 2-point or 3-point win. And I think the world of Katie, I think Katie probably wants a family, She's hitting 38. I'd love to see her just go ahead and retire.
Yeah.
At 38, there's nothing left to prove.
Both of them.
Well, Serrano, I think Serrano can go a little bit further. Like Katie's styles rely quite a bit on movement. She's that typical European in and out, and then Florian 2-3-2-3 Florian. And you notice she didn't move as much in a fight. So I think she exchanged quite a bit more, and I think at 38 probably she ain't able to move as much. And I mean, give her all the credit in the world. I mean, she was a dog. But Serrano, I think, could fight at a high level for at least 2 or 3 more years. And you've got Samantha Worthington at 140 that I worked with that just won her world title 7-8 months ago at the Ali Center, knocking on the door. So you got the young lion right there just waiting. Yes, just waiting to step in.
Do you think because they fought Serrano and Taylor, they fought at 135 on this
140.
140?
And here's the thing. Women in the amateurs are boxing 3 3-minute rounds, just like the men. Okay? There is no reason, there's no anatomical, biological justification for women to be boxing 2-minute rounds. If that fight is 12 3-minute rounds, just like the men, right? I think Serrano wins that handily. That extra minute is going to make a big difference because Katie's already fading a little bit down the stretch. And it definitely gives more time for the story to play out, right? There's no reason for women to be boxing at a world-class level 2-minute rounds. No.
Yep.
They had definitely shortened the rounds on every fight on the the Paul and Mike. Even Paul and Mike was only 8 rounds.
Yeah.
It should have been 12, and so the women's fight.
12 is typically a championship fight, but they should have been 8 or 10 3-minute rounds.
They should have been, and I can understand why they shortened.
You got a 60-year-old dude, but now 2 women in their prime
should not be.
And you think about the men are carrying a lot more weight, a lot more muscle mass, so you can't justify that biologically. Why, if anything, you have the men boxing shorter time, right? Because we're moving a lot of lot of beef.
A lot of beef.
You know, it does not add up scientifically. And there's some girls that's politicking for the 3-minute rounds. I remember the name. It's the Latino girl there, was an Olympian out of Texas, Marlene Esparza. And she's fought some 3-minute fights. But that just allows more time for the story to be told, you know, instead of the bell ringing on you and you're running out of time.
Yeah.
You know, like
Well,
Donald Trump likes the 15-rounder. Huh?
What's your thoughts about the headbutt?
Oh boy.
Oh,
I
that
think
was
the coach
that's
had it
big.
nailed I've got Katie's picture in my phone. I thank the world of Katie. I love her mom's fantastic family. The headbutt's on purpose.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The headbutt is she probably watched film on Evander. Evander had 3 fists and one of them was his head. You know.
What's like a referee, if someone sees that they're getting their head down like that, are they supposed to point that out and tell them
he
to keep
cautioned
their
her
head
a
up?
bunch before he took one point. What I found out refereeing, I'm just an amateur refereeing, you know, because you know how that goes. They don't have one. And so what I found out is, and Marvin Whittemore, that does all the state pro side stuff, he's almost always the referee at the state. Marvin's a really good referee. And what I found out is, for Marvin, go ahead and stop the action as soon as you see that somebody's fouling, okay? Send the non-offending boxer, which would have been Serrano, to a neutral corner, and just look Katie in the face and be like, hey, you're not going to do that tonight. You do that in the first or second round. As soon as you see that's a strategy, and usually that'll fix it, right? That comes real close to fix it because you're serving notice on. Don't wait till the 6th, 8th round like Klitschko when he used to hold people, lay on the back of their neck, and then they take a point away in the 10th round. Don't wait that late. Go ahead because you've already let the fight get away from you. So they should have got on the head button early. But I think clearly that the headbutting was part of the strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I could see that definitely for that fight.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on that on the cards? Now, what about the Barrios and who else was it? It was Barrios versus goodness.
I can't remember the other last name. The 2 Latino guys.
No, yeah, they fought.
He's actually the pretty boy. The guy
Yeah.
he fought's actually looks like a model.
Yeah.
I had written him off. I'd seen him early in his career lose to a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other guy, and it kind of written him off that he's not tough enough. Man, he showed he was.
Oh yeah.
On that card, I was really.
He got dropped bad. He was rocked.
Yeah, I was really surprised that he pulled that out. But he has shown me something. He's got 2 or 3 losses.
I think one of them's to Tank, and he was actually beating Tank.
No, I'm not talking about Barrios.
Oh,
I'm talking about
the
the other
other-
guy.
the
Had
other
a
guy.
couple losses.
Yeah, he had a
We'll
he had
think
a
of his
couple.
name after we get off the podcast.
Yeah, we got to look up his name.
Yeah, it's very common.
Yeah, it's
last
a-
name.
yep.
But Barrios comes out there, and he's got all those Aztec tattoos on. I mean, he's getting the Aztec warrior outfit and got the warriors with him. And I actually expected more out of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought he was too hittable. Didn't use.
yeah.
He has a really good jab. He didn't use it enough. Didn't move good enough.
Now, for that fight to be called a draw, I actually didn't mind it being a draw because I know what they're trying. I know the angle that they're pushing. Let's see another rematch because it was an exciting fight. There was knockdowns. They were traditional Mexican style boxing.
Right.
Just bam, bam, bam. I could see reason why that they called it a draw. I personally think Barrios probably won that. It was real close, but his opponent was coming out real strong in those middle to late rounds. Very
Right.
strong.
Well, and a lot of folks don't. If you grew up and you were like a lot of your judges on those high level fights are probably 50s and up, right? Age. So if you grew up and you were a big Ali fan as a judge, you're going to tend to score a little bit more empathetic toward that kind of style. If you grew up and you were a Tyson fan, you're going to tend to, I've heard one old guy one time, he said, well, I'm not scoring that guy hit the other guy with the jab. I mean, just tattooing him the whole bout. And he's like, well, I'm not scoring that little pit-pat jab. That ain't doing nothing. I said, well, to know if it's doing anything, you got to ask the guy getting hit with it, right? But he refused to score it. And that's when we were under the point system in the amateurs that whoever lands the most blows wins the fight. So you tend to sympathize with whatever you grew up liking. Yeah.
Right.
And some of the judges, let's say when Pacquiao lost the decision to when he delayed the fight, Timothy Bradley, first fight. Remember that?
Yes.
Pacquiao delayed the fight by over an hour because he was watching the Eastern Conference Finals. If you remember that with LeBron James, right? Yes. Then he had to warm up his calves on the treadmill, right? Those judges are 60, 70 years old probably for that fight.
Arms.
And you're making them get home late.
Yeah.
And I said, that's going to backfire on him. And you saw what happened. He got stone cold robbed.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good angle.
You got
to
to
look
think
from
about
that.
kids at amateur boxing. When they go weigh in that morning, for a national tournament, you'll weigh in at like 6 to 7 a.m. Like the guy weighing you in, you're standing there with your headphones bumping and you can't hear direction, and then they're having to yell at you and stuff. That guy weighing you in may end up judging your bout.
Yep.
Right, because they're pulling double duty. I said, so you want to be the yes sir, no sir.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't want to do anything but impress them.
Yep.
With your candor.
Yep. Be very respectful,
Now-
especially in the amateurs, because you might have that same judge for 3 or 4 of your fights too.
Yeah, he may
'cause
be the ring captain for your ring, and,
Oh.
and he just happened to be the one weighing you in, and then
Yeah.
you're not paying attention. Or back in the day, they had to be clean shaven. Now they're allowing them to have. A little
I
bit
like
of
that
facial-
rule
yeah.
change, by the way.
Yeah, the rule change. Yeah,
You guys seen
shocks
me.
my conscience, but they kids would pull up and they have a little bit of
Stubble.
fuzz, that you could just yank out with the tweezer, but they don't want to shave it off. And they would have the clippers in their pocket. So I'm like, not only are you doing wrong, but you're doing wrong, and you got the plan there in case they catch you. I don't know how many. I'm used to send them to the gas station to buy a razor when you had to be clean. But anyway, yeah, you don't want to do that because you don't know what the judge's background are or offend them, and you want you got to think about what those judges grew up liking. Okay, and that can affect them greatly on a close fight like that.
Oh yeah.
Maybe judge loves the jab, and Barrios was landing the jab.
Yep. How you present yourself goes a long way. Long way. Now to wrap up on the Tyson Paul Netflix fight. Where do you see this going next for Paul? Because the one positive thing I will say about Jake Paul is that he is a genius at manipulating the media, building the hate base. He's a hate fighter.
Yeah,
The more you hate him, the more money
he's
he
doing
makes.
doing the Ric Flair.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it or love it. It's the best thing going today. They
Yeah.
all buy a ticket. I think it would. He's generating enough money now. Last time I heard, Canelo was guaranteed $40 million a fight, right? Mm-hmm. No, regardless of who it is. That last guy was by no means ready for Canelo, right? But he's generating enough money now. Can you imagine what that fight would look like in Vegas? With Canelo has the whole nation of Mexico behind him, right? The weigh-ins would have more people at it than most pro shows that you've ever been to in your life. So I think it's almost at the point that it would justify, and I know a lot of the Mexican fans would like to see an execution of Jake Paul, right? They think it's impossible.
Man.
So I think Cinco de Mayo, and Jake's a lot bigger than him. Like he talked about cruiserweight, like I get down to 199, like Canelo would be 175.1 or something like
Yeah.
that. That makes it a little interesting. But I don't think he can stand those ganchos, the hooks to the body.
Yeah.
Eventually, Canelo's going to hit him with that liver shot, and he's going to be thinking, do I really want to do this, or do I want to go back to Disney?
Yeah.
So, do you think that Canelo is the next for Jake, or is it Ryan Garcia?
I would love to see Canelo be next for Jake. And I
But
know
what do
Canelo
you-
won't make any deals. He's all about no backdoor
Oh, yeah,
deals. He's
definitely.
all about honor and integrity.
Yep.
I was actually in his town in southern Mexico when he's about 10 years old. The police department sent me down there for like a whole summer to learn the language and what have you. I was like, I wished I'd have popped in the gym because I would have remembered that kid, right? Because he stands out.
He's the only ginger in
He's
Mexico.
only ginger in there. Canelo actually means cinnamon. A lot of people
Yeah.
don't know that.
Yeah.
Canelo means cinnamon. But I think that fight makes sense now.
Oh yeah.
For Cinco de Mayo, the build up to that fight, and then he can, I'm bigger. Canelo doesn't do good with bigger guys, and he walks out and he's got the robot walking out there for the weigh-ins and stuff. I think it's a spectacle now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the money makes sense for Canelo.
Oh, for sure. And I would definitely watch. I'm gonna keep watching the Jake Paul fights until I finally get the execution I
Yeah.
want for Jake Paul.
Until Jake Paul
Yeah.
is face down on the mat.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
but if you're thinking legacy-wise and trying to cement yourself as the greatest Mexican boxer of all time, I think it's Terrence Crawford for Canelo on Cinco de Mayo. I think
Really?
Terrence Crawford makes the most sense. Yeah. Because who else you gonna fight at 68?
That's true.
Yeah,
I mean,
you got Benavidez has moved up.
what about
know.
Bivol?
Bivol beat the brakes off of him the first time. He's too big and too good of a jab.
Oh, I was talking about. Okay. I'm sorry.
Oh no! Jake doesn't
Misunderstood.
want any part of Beterbiev or
No.
Bivol. You know,
No.
I'm talking about Canelo. Like if it's legacy, if he's thinking more legacy, you know that you go Crawford.
That would definitely be the matchup.
That generate a lot of money.
A lot of money.
and less risk for him. It's a smaller guy.
Smaller guy, and
Yeah.
but still very, very dangerous. Crawford is.
Yeah, he looked human though at 154.
Yes, he
Yeah,
did.
he looked human.
He wasn't a weight bully anymore at 154.
No, he had some marks on him.
Yeah.
At 154, and that guy was not a Canelo.
No.
So I like Canelo in that fight, but the Jake thing, I think Jake and Canelo at Cinco de Mayo, I think for the first time that makes sense.
Yes.
Money wise, it's got to make sense for Canelo because it
definitely.
doesn't do anything for his legacy. Right? It's got to be about getting paid, and I think he would like to run the imposter out of boxing.
Oh yeah.
Canelo would, yeah, but
And
you got to pay him.
it would just make him so much more money if he just
And-
floored him.
I saw an interview with Canelo about the Jake Paul thing,
What'd he say?
and he said, "I don't want to fight him in my prime. I'll wait till I'm starting to fight lower tier people, and then I'll fight him." That's exactly what he said.
He'll ride one of those horses he's got in the stadium.
Yeah.
Canelo. Yeah.
Now, if I think that Jake should fight Ryan before he goes to Canelo because
I don't think
Ryan's too little.
He's too little. I
I
don't
know,
think he has
but
enough.
Ryan
steroids.
tweeted and he said, "I want to fight Jake Paul." He said something like that, something about fighting Jake
Yeah,
Paul.
he said on my mama, I'll floor him or something.
Yeah,
like
he can
that.
take all the
Now-
Austrian he wants and not.
now,
Yeah, hey, they're not
You don't
drug
have to worry
testing for
about
these. They're not
gaining
drug testing.
weight or anything.
now,
yeah.
Jake, he can lose. He fought skinny when he his first fight during
What is the
COVID.
lightest Jake's fought?
Oh, he's fought
Probably
like
200.
60.
No, he's been under 2.
Yeah,
75,
I think he was
80 's the
75,
lightest.
75.
Yeah, so he could get down there to cruiser, no problem. But
Yeah.
Ryan just fought at 40?
145. 145, I think, is what he
They
fought.
can
No,
do like
he
an
didn't fight
exhibition.
at welter. I bet it was 40.
It's probably 40.
Yeah, he fought at junior welter. Yeah.
But even
So
then,
that's a lot of size.
and I've seen what Ryan looks like at 165, where he's got a
Yeah.
little bit of I'm a brand new dad type.
I'm
yeah,
pretty new
yeah,
dad.
there's a big difference in him when he's in fight shape. Yeah.
And I'm like, he's just too small. And like Ryan's fast, but he's not.
Oh, while we're on that last topic, so since we got the mixed martial arts champion sitting here, let's ask her first. Who do you want? How does the John Jones, Pereira, and Aspinall play out if you've got your say?
I'm with John Jones all the way.
I ain't betting against him.
No.
Well,
But last
if you look at John Jones's training camp, he trained with Gordon Ryan for I don't really necessarily know how long it was, but Gordon Ryan was part of his training camp, and Gordon Ryan's one of the best grapplers in the world. And he's also been working on his kickboxing a lot.
Yep.
And he had a wrestling guy. I don't really know his name in his camp too. So he had some of the best in his training camp in
In
that.
preparation for Stipe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Shout out to Stipe too, by the way. He was holding it down in Cleveland.
True warrior.
Yeah.
True warrior. He was a firefighter.
Gentleman, classy dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
but I am a fan of John Jones. I would have to.
So
put
how
the
does
money
that
on
play
John
out?
Jones.
Do those two guys fight each other in your mind to qualify to fight John Jones, or would you rather him go ahead and fight one or the other?
I think ain't Tom Aspinall been after John Jones for a while?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's what I gotta say on it. I think Aspinall steamrolls John. I think John.
Oh,
I think-
God.
Younger
don't air this part.
generation.
Oh,
Loughran's
no.
boxing. These are the views not expressed.
I
You
think.
think so?
I think John is ducking Tom.
Did you see that takedown though when he got Stipe against the cage and
Golly.
he flipped him? Like,
Oh, dude.
like I just see Aspinall turning like that. Just turn him like a clock. you know?
Listen, yeah, no, listen. That no one. John is one of the best grapplers. Period.
Right.
Period.
He's been taken down twice. I just saw it today.
Yeah.
Ever.
Did y'all see that knee that Sean O'Malley did to that one guy where that guy leaned into it?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Cracked
You hear how loud that was?
Oh yeah, like a baseball bat.
Let's not drift though.
Yeah, but going back to this, so I am
bad.
a massive Alex Pereira fan. Mm-hmm. Alex Pereira loses to John at heavyweight strictly on grappling alone.
He's got to get past the striking though to get
At
to
He's got
least
to get past because, and here's the thing, is that
Yeah.
no one's been able to do it yet. I just don't want
At
to
least you're
see.
being
I don't
honest.
want to see Alex's current legacy being stopped right now.
Is Alex the best striker that's ever been in front of John Jones if they fight?
Oh, hands down.
Would you put anybody?
down.
So you would say he's the sharpest, best striker that John's ever faced?
By far.
Yeah. So I mean, it has its challenges.
And
But if
here's
he
the
gets to his hips, it's a wrap.
I think they're going to put Tom up against John Jones.
Well, Dana. Yeah, I've been seeing Dana's pushing that, and he even said in a recent interview, "I'm not letting Pereira fight John." He's like, "That makes no sense." He was just like, "It's got to be because here's the thing: John's on his way out. We all know this. He's retiring soon.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't retire after the Stipe fight, but he's only been talking about Pereira. Anytime anyone mentions Aspinall, John cuts the conversation. I think he's been running away from this for a while now because he even said too, he said that Tom's dangerous. He's like, why would I fight a guy who's arguably more dangerous than Pereira, but has none of the accolades? Where if I lose, it's a big blow to my legacy, but if I beat Pereira, that's like a crown jewel.
Well, the money has to make sense.
The money
risk
has to make
has
sense.
to match the reward. Yeah.
And honestly, people keep on saying Pereira's going to bring in more money, but I don't know about that because there are so many Aspinall fans.
They forget about. Well, it's like people have had their memory wiped about Pereira losing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like you think he was an undefeated fighter the way people talk about him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he lost to Izzy, and again, that is at 185, and which is he is that guy should never fight. Pereira should never fight at 185 again. That is such a crazy weight cut because
he outsmarted himself.
Yeah, your brain is the last thing to rehydrate.
When you lose more than 3% of your body weight in fluid, you're pulling cerebral fluid from
Yes.
your brain, and it takes more than 24 hours to replenish that.
Yeah.
You'll see a guy get hit with a shot he normally walks through.
Yeah,
and
which
it
is what I
waxes
saw.
him.
Which is what I saw when Adesanya put him out in their part 2. But unfortunately, if this was just a strictly striking, I don't think anyone touches Alex Pereira in a striking match at all. Someone's best chance of beating him is ground game. I know, this Ankalaev guy that's in his weight class right now is probably going to be the biggest challenge for him. But me personally, I wouldn't want to see a John Jones fight. He's on his way out. Alex looks like he's trying to make more of a legacy. We probably get 3 to 5 more years out of Pereira before he's done. So I would say that John would probably beat Pereira just based on grappling alone, but that is a big if he does not get caught, because Pereira's got that dynamite in his hands, and his kicks are crazy.
It's got really good
you're saying
distance management as
Aspinall
well.
beats John Jones?
I'm saying
in how many
Aspinall.
rounds and how?
2 rounds.
2 rounds.
2
I knew
rounds.
he was going to say 2
I
rounds.
think
2 rounds.
I think Aspinall has
Hot
a really
take.
good shot at
hot
putting him
take.
away in the first. I think he has steam
in the first round.
I think he has a good shot.
Speaking of hot takes, I think
Anything can happen. It is a fight game.
Yeah.
now Mike Tyson did call out Logan Paul, but I think even with
Nobody wants to see that.
I know, but even with Mike Tyson and his knee and crap, I still think he beats Logan Paul.
Oh yeah.
Is he going to even show up and try?
Yeah.
So, Samantha, the prediction on that, Aspinall Jones.
Aspinall Jones, I think
You need to answer.
there's going to be a lot of wrestling involved. And I want to say John Jones gets it.
All right.
I
I
would
will
say-
say, if this is any type of a grappling match, John has the tools to put everyone away. Period.
Those elbows.
Oh,
I'm going to say John in 3 to 4. You got a prediction?
It depends on the version of John Jones. If it's a version of John Jones that you just like, he just wants to get the check and probably get an easy
Oh, he
guillotine.
knows what's waiting for him if he fights
all right,
Aspinall.
we're talking
like,
John-
It's easy to get motivated.
But
yeah.
if he's over here angry at him like he fought DC,
Every second you train, it'll be a waste of your life.
Yeah. I'm gonna use
Please
every
don't be
malicious
safe.
technique I know. You know that John Jones. Yeah, he's gonna kill.
So the John Jones in his boxers 2 a.m. running with a shotgun. That's the type of
Yeah.
John Jones we want to see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's probably gonna be a Mike Tyson thing where we just don't get what we wanted.
He got the Malinois too.
He does, yeah.
He's got the Malinois.
I don't know if he trained them himself or he bought them.
I think he bought him trained. He don't have enough time to train him like that.
Those Malinois are
So,
crazy.
all right, one quick one. So anybody that you would like to box?
Oh.
I thought
In the
about
pros?
that. Anybody? Period. Is there anybody out there
Period.
you see amateur or pro that you're like, man, I'd like to be in a ring with that dude one day?
Definitely, 100% Jake Paul. I wanna kill him for that.
That is a
Everybody's
answer that
choosing Jake Paul.
that's an answer that comes out of everybody's mouth.
You kind of got to respect him a little bit. He's actually getting fighters paid way more money than they've ever thought about getting in
That's
their
the
whole
biggest thing he's
career.
actually done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he actually takes it seriously sometimes. Like that Tommy fight, he wasn't posting.
Everybody would be like to be the first one to wax Jake Paul and just to knock him out and expose him. Give the guy credit. I mean, he has worked a lot, but people think that people that's not in the game don't understand that there's like the USA Nationals are coming up in December, Richmond, Virginia. You take the same division. Say the guy's fighting at boxing at 201. Just about everybody in that 201 bracket, amateur bracket, would beat Jake Paul in a boxing.
100%.
And these are amateurs.
Yeah.
These are not so he has really done well. The Tommy Fury fight was a little bit of a bad call. I think they thought maybe he was further along than what he was. But there's a lot of, Nate Diaz, dude, right? Like you, there's guys in this gym that Nate Diaz couldn't last 3 rounds with.
Yeah, I think Preston
Boxing.
might even give it to him. I think
Right. Here's a guy that would wax Nate Diaz. 16 years old. I'm dead serious. Bet the farm off.
He kind of looks like Nate Diaz's brother.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna
He's
lie.
the clean version of Nate Diaz, the non-marijuana version.
The non-marijuana version.
All right.
Question mark.
So, all right, Wyatt, what about you? If you had to box anyone at any point in their time, who would your big glory fight be against?
Glory fight. Tyson Fury.
Okay.
Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury.
That's a good one. All right, Samantha, you. And I'll give you an MMA version and a boxing
He'll be
version.
in a wheelchair by the time Wyatt gets old enough to box.
Yeah.
Well, there's probably a lot of girls I'd like to get in there with. Probably my favorites that I like to watch because I want to go in there with the tough ones. So I like Thug Rose and Shevchenko and
What about Rousey?
Rousey.
A primetime Rousey.
That is a good fight.
Prime
That's a
Rousey.
good fight.
Recycle
Male
one more
Rousey.
time.
That's a
I feel like we would have a lot of fun grappling.
that's a good
Yeah.
fight right there. That's a steal of the main event.
Wait a minute, you
Fight
didn't
right
ask
there.
me.
Oh, okay.
So there's always
Pressure?
kids always ask that, and I always say there's nobody over 50. I'd be in, like that's
Yeah.
like disrespect to keeping yourself in shape. There's nobody over 50 that feel like you're. There's one guy over 50.
Oh, here we go. I know what you're about
You know
to
who it
say.
is?
Yep.
There's one guy over 50 I would walk to town to fight,
Here we
and
go.
it is John Fury. Tyson Fury's dad. I would love to shut that big mouth for him. Yeah. Any day, any time.
John Fury.
John Fury. He has got the biggest mouth. Yeah.
Sign the contract,
He's
big
always
boy.
he's always running it, and I would love to shut it for him.
Sign the contract.
Yeah. Walk
Oh
him,
my God.
Stomp a mud hole in him, walk it dry.
London,
Yeah.
Kentucky.
Yeah, come get it.
We got the new Netflix.
Irish
live
versus
event.
The new
Irish
Netflix.
versus the English.
Sign the contract.
Yeah.
Where's it at?
Ain't even got to have a contract. We'll have a handshake.
So how much time are you going to give him
He's
to get
at
in
these,
shape?
he's at the press conferences, just like stealing the attention. How much time? However much he wants. Yeah. However much he wants.
He'll
I'd
need
like to
his,
see
the
you
rest of
back
his
in the
lifestyle.
ring. That'd be
Oh, I
fun.
would. I would thoroughly enjoy that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's. I mean, well, to me, like I look at that as a father. Like I wouldn't try to steal the limelight from my son by throwing a fit at press conferences and taking your shirt off, and I mean, he looks like chewed bubble gum, and nobody wants to see you shirtless, old man, and just running. I'm like, Tyson is, it's Tyson's time. Hopefully, it'll be his time next month. I like Tyson, but yeah, his dad. Yeah, I would just, if there's anybody over 50 that I'd love to be in the ring with, is Tyson Fury's dad, John.
Isn't it so weird that it's the fathers of all these superstar boxers that talk the most?
My Lord.
Living you had Robert Guerrero when he fought Floyd.
Yeah.
His dad comes out there in the feather fedora and all that stuff, and he's talking trash to Floyd Sr. And I look him up, and the dude's like 1-7, bro. I'm like, Floyd's dad fought Sugar Ray Leonard pretty tough. Like, you're talking trash, and you're the guy they call on Wednesday to lose on Saturday, on a pro show. I'm like, you don't want to talk to Floyd Sr. He will dot you up.
Now, Mason, who would you want to fight?
Oh, I would love to fight prime time Tyson just to see
Tyson?
what it's like. A prime time, 21-year-old.
Yeah.
Just he still doesn't like white people.
Like right before he fights Michael Spinks, right? Like 30-ounce gloves.
Yeah.
Hey, I know what it's like.
Yeah, that's what it'd be like.
Now, and then I think the only other guy that I would like to see, just to see what it'd be like, would be a Foreman, primetime Foreman, just to see what that punching power's like.
Yeah,
I'm just curious. I'm curious.
It's like I always said, Foreman's like a log.
Yeah,
hitting you, it like moves you, but it don't have that snap and speed of Tyson. Now, had a buddy of mine that just passed away a couple years ago, Bo Williford. Bo trained James Quick Tillis when Tyson was coming up, right, the ranks, and they actually said, okay, when Tillis fights Tyson, if you pay us $100,000, Mike will look good against him, right? People don't realize these kind of deals go on. If you pay us $50, we're showing up to win. Well, they paid him $50. So if you watch that fight, he knocked Quick Tillis down, but Quick Tillis was like the first guy I ever saw actually fight Mike as a pro, right? And it went to 10-round, like title eliminator. Well, Bo Williford, they would hire Bo. He's from Louisiana. They would hire him to like set up training camp. Say you want to have training camp in London, Kentucky. Bo would go secure the building for Larry Holmes or whoever, make sure all the equipment's there, turnkey job, right? And he said they set up a training camp for Tyson when Tyson, it was after the Quick Tillis fight. And it was like a gymnasium, like basketball gymnasium. And he said, I'll never forget walking in that gymnasium and hearing him hitting the bag. He said it was like rapid gunfire, going off. He said, never heard anything human that sounded like, and that was Mike at 21, 22 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, for me, it's like, I just want to be able to, I would love to do it just to say I did it and I survived. Or I didn't, no, he knocked me out. I just want to see what that kind of.
Sure. Well, I mean, you got the same genetic build, that he's got same build, everything, and got
for me,
nice fast twitch, muscle fiber, everything. Yes.
Yeah, it'd just be curious for me. I just want to see what that was like, and I might regret that. Maybe we go in, dance around for a little bit, and then I wake up and I'm like, wow. I still don't know what it was like.
He's probably in his prime there. He's the most technically perfect puncher. The most technically perfect puncher that has probably ever been. Joe Frazier had that beautiful left hook. It was amazing, everything. But Tyson had it on both sides. Every punch could knock you. And the people don't realize the speed. He probably could have played tailback at any college if he'd have went football route. The guy had phenomenal foot and hand speed. And, of course, the shorter fighters, as your foot speed and hand speed goes, so does your career. That's why George, at 40 years old, George is winning the heavyweight championship of the world, and he's got a 6'3" with an 80-something inch reach. Changes the game. Your longevity's better. But the shorter guys, Tyson, Joe Frazier, even Marciano, they don't stay around as long.
So who, in your opinion, who's the greatest heavyweight boxer of all time?
I think if you're saying the greatest when they won the title, like if you've got a time machine and you take Tyson on the night he won the title from Trevor Berbick at 20 years old, and you take Ali the night that Ali won the title from Sonny Liston, I have a hard time seeing it go 15 rounds without Mike clipping him, right? Now, if you look at careers, Mike after Mike after the 3-year layoff, right, from being in prison, and you look at Ali after his 4-year being stripped, having to go to the Supreme Court. The careers after the fact, I mean, Ali beat 2 Olympic gold medalists, top 10 all-time heavyweights, Foreman and Frazier, right? Tyson did nothing, right? Every guy he ran into, the top guys he got beat. But Mike's apex right there at 20 to 22 years old, I don't know. I actually would give Foreman a better chance to beat him because of the styles, and Foreman had that great uppercut that he could catch Mike dipping into, than I would Ali. People want to believe Ali's better than what he was because they love him so much as a man.
He did a lot for the culture.
Yeah, they love him so much. And Ali was phenomenal. And his post 4-year delay career, you can't even compare.
Yep.
But Mike, I think Mike on the night he won the heavyweight championship probably beats every other heavyweight on the night they won it.
Oh, yeah.
With George having the best chance to
Stop him.
get. And George could take a shot or two of his power. Right?
Oh, yeah.
It'd take a little bit for him to get George out there, not just one shot.
Yep. No, I think that's a fair assessment. I would definitely agree. I've always thought that a 20-year-old Tyson was just unstoppable. We've never seen a fighter with that kind of mentality.
When you poured money on it, it was like pouring gasoline on fire, right?
Oh,
He's driving his car into a tree on purpose, and and then when he fired. A lot of folks don't understand that is that when he won the heavyweight title from Trevor Burbitt, one of his managers was Bill Caton, the attorney. That's who had all that old fight tape. He walks straight over and kisses Bill Caton in the mouth, right in the ring. Right, it was adoration. Right. Wasn't anything like that. It was total. So for you to love another man, and I've never loved another man that much. For you to love another man that much, and then you turn around a few years later and fire him, you wonder what happened in between.
Money.
But when he fires Bill Caton and he fires Kevin Rooney, that was the end of his career right there.
Yep.
Right? So you have to look at him from zero to Michael Spinks, and then that's a whole nother career after Michael Spinks. All the announcers was even saying, he beat Carl the Truth Williams after that. He beat Frank Bruno after that, but he got clipped, got hurt in the first round. The announcers were even saying he didn't look as good. Even though he's still winning, knocking guys out, they're like, he ain't moving his head like he was. So it just so happened Buster was the first one that wasn't afraid of him, that was motivated, and actually had the Coach Reeves, a tremendous boxing coach that raised him up there in, where's he from, Columbus?
Mm-hmm.
So the ability, when Buster lost before that, Buster lost to Tony Tucker, that Mike beat to unify the titles, and Tony Tucker was like 37-0, and he fought Mike really tough. Tony Tucker did. Buster just ran out of gas. So he finally got in shape and was motivated. And if you're not scared of Mike, enough to train, then something's bad wrong with you. Mike's in camp in Tokyo. Greg Page is Mike's chief sparring partner. My buddy trained Greg Page. Greg Page calls and says Mike didn't show up to train until 3 weeks before the fight. Knocked him down twice in sparring, and all he's doing is chasing girls over here. Yeah, so it was, after the Michael Spinks fight, he was on downhill slide, drugs, just everything. And of course, we know he ended up going to prison.
Yep.
But that Mike that from 20, from the start of his pro career to Michael Spinks, that dude, that right there that's his apex.
Yep.
And his apex is probably higher than anybody else's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw guys that just walked in the ring and they were just terrified of him. You see a guy that's that big, it's that hard, and he's that fast.
I had a kid fought on HBO in 2012. The very first fight of HBO, Broner fought was the main event, and I went to the other locker room, and I wish I remember his name, but he trained Tony Tubbs from Cincinnati. He fought Tyson in Tokyo, and this guy got up and told the story. It's so funny. He said Mike got in the ring, and this guy was really animated, and he said, and he had no neck, he said he had no neck. He said his head said,
traps.
He said then he hit Tony and almost killed him in the corner, and he said he looked at me, all wild-eyed, and he said, I didn't do nothing to you. Like that. He said, I thought he was going to get out of the ring and take my head off,
No.
But that guy was something different.
Who do you think has been the underdog their whole career, like out of boxing?
The underdog?
Like the biggest underdog in boxing history.
First thing comes to mind is probably like Mickey Ward, somebody like that, got it. That he took some L's and then finally got on top, had a good following.
I can't really think of like a true underdog that even.
Or even Tommy Hearns, Tommy Hearns steps up to Ray Leonard and he's winning, and then he was dehydrated and stuff and lost there 14th round. Then he loses to Hagler, but then he comes back at 154 and knocks to me, Tommy Hearns' best fight was the Roberto Duran.
Right.
I mean, he just totally annihilated him. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's come up short in the big ones a lot. I about to say Tommy Hearns, the hitman from Detroit.
Yeah, I was really actually impressed with Foreman's return to boxing at 45, coming back and.
They thought it was a joke. Everybody thought it was a joke. If you watch the corner though, when he was, and that was the best Evander that he lost to, right? And then when you listen to his corner, Teddy Atlas, and I'm not a big Teddy Atlas guy. We'll get into it later, but when you watch the corner though. Teddy Atlas keeps telling Michael Moore, Southpaw, stop getting your combinations off and then step into your left. He's trying to time you with the right hand. And then if you watch, and he keeps right on doing it, moving to his left, toward George's right hand. And George throws that little jab out there just to cover Michael's left eye so he can't see the right hand coming. And he never saw it coming. And it didn't even look like much of a punch, but it had 265 behind it. Right, and Michael's eyes rolled back. And I was at my buddy's house. He's retired London PD. I can remember right where we're sitting, and I was like, "He ain't getting up." Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, pretty cool story though. All right.
Well, I believe that's the episode. We got a lot of
got a lot of content.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
that's we're a lot of subjects.
Oh yeah.
We'll get Preston on here next time, and we'll have a lot of good stuff going on between now and then.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully, good stories to tell. Hopefully this guy. State silver glove champion next time.
Yep, next time he's on here.
Should have some direction on her.
Should have some pro fighters next time on here. Possibly. Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Who's that?
Stay tuned.
To be continued.
All right, but until then, Aspinall smokes John Jones, and
oh man,
John Fury.
Yeah, and John
Fury.
I've got Jerry Loughran over John.
Jerry.
Fury.
Jerry versus John.
Jelly Belly.
I would have to. Yeah, Usyk is amazing. And
he's entertaining.
He goes, Jelly Belly. I said, if there's ever a guy that has crazy eye, it's Usyk.
Oh yeah.
He has
the gap.
The gap. He has He just looks like he would rip your head off and eat cornflakes out of your skull.
Yeah. Well, that's the podcast. Anyone want to close out with some last words here, Samantha?
Just if there's any parents listening, make sure you get your children in some sort of discipline, some sort of boxing. Bring them to Loughran's boxing, and
London KY.
And not only let them learn how to protect themselves, but learn what they can keep from a situation. Like, what situation can you control, what you can't control, what you can and cannot get out of. And just be very mindful of anything that they get into, any situation.
We have a lot of great kids that have been fortunate enough to train here, and not very many of them are prone to trouble. But I always tell the parents is that once or twice in your life as a man, trouble's going to find you, and it ain't going to take no for an answer. So I'd rather be walking a room knowing that, hey, I'm the big dog in this room, right? It just changes how you think, stress, because there's going to be that time. It may be just that once or twice in your lifetime. So you'd rather be on the big end of the stick and give your kid that gift. And we didn't talk about it much earlier, but all fights start standing.
Yep.
When you have somebody that has like this kid right here. He realizes, hey, there's no way out of this. The best self-defense, I was a combat instructor there for the Department of Criminal Justice. The best self-defense is not to be where the trouble's at, right? Mm-hmm. Most time we know we're somewhere we shouldn't be before something happens. But imagine this kid right here barefisted, hitting somebody with a 1-2.
Yeah.
It's a wrap. There's no grappling after that. There's no Muay Thai clinches after that. And you're hearing that from a lot of the top-level operators. That's where you start at.
Yep.
You do not want to be in a self-defense situation rolling around on the ground.
No.
Yeah, you're limited to engaging the one person. The environment's working against you. You're guaranteeing that person does not have an edged weapon or a firearm on them. So you want to start there with the hands but something's better than nothing, right? I would say like that for boxing first, and then the second thing I'd go to would be Muay Thai.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've always been a big admirer of Muay Thai. I really like it, using but true self-defense, we can headbutt in the face, right?
Oh, yeah.
True self-defense, we can eye gouge. And then anytime you compete in a combat sport, you're training yourself in contradiction. I don't care if it's jiu-jitsu, boxing, Muay Thai even. You're training yourself to fit the rules, which is in direct contradiction to true self-defense.
Right.
Right?
Because if like, I've wrestled my whole life. I've done jiu-jitsu. I'm very capable on the ground. Someone takes me to the ground, I'm biting you.
Right? Yeah, you could. That's what I'm saying.
I'm Mike Tyson.
But what happens is when we train within a system, we're going further and farther away. That's not even going to occur. Or like in amateur MMA, not kneeing and forearm into the head. The more you compete in amateur MMA, that's going to create a training scar for when you turn pro.
Right.
So you think about that. So a great place to start is with the hands and the Muay Thai. But even then, that's not true self-defense. A lot of people package certain styles as self-defense, and it's not really self-defense. Most people are not going to want, you weigh 240?
Yeah.
How much can you power clean?
I don't know. We haven't tested out yet.
250 to 3?
Yeah.
Okay, so would somebody who weighs 160 pounds want to pull a guard on you on this concrete? No, you could do Rampage Jackson and slam their head right through the ground, So, but back to the original point, get your kids in something so that something is way better than nothing. Because most of the people in life that mess with you, of course, I'm a police officer. Most people that mess with you are the drunk guy and chewed bubble gum, that any style would dispatch them, in expedient manner.
Power slap would dismantle them.
What happened to I got sparring one time, a buddy of mine that turned pro heavyweight, I got punched in the throat sparring. And, man, I was, like we were talking about throat strikes, I was down for, I don't know, let's say even at least a minute. Well, during that minute, he could have just done anything he wanted, right? But
right.
I was like, wow, that took me out. I'd never been hit in the Adam's apple before. But when we start competing in styles that have rules, we're taught not to do all those taboo strikes, right?
Right.
So we'll touch on that, I guess, and some other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Next time we could preach a whole sermon on true self-defense.
Yeah, which the best one comes strapped at the side,
Yeah. Well, actually, as a firearms instructor, that training law enforcement, I said the number one self-defense is don't be where the trouble is, and then you start thinking from long range to, then you're thinking in terms of firearms, rifle, handgun. Now, if I'm having to engage Bruce Lee, the kick that you can hit the guy from Samantha has a great teep. That's about as far away as you can strike somebody. So you start building that self-defense system from further to closer, and then transitioning and of course at some point we end up headbutting, groin striking, all those things that are taboo if you actually fight in a system.
Right.
That's why the Gracies fought so hard to be able to kick people in the head, in the UFC when they're on the ground. The original UFC, they're groin striking.
Oh yeah.
You have this guy, and he's in a side mount, and he's just tearing them up, one hook after another, and they're like, he's not getting disqualified, But you couldn't bite and you couldn't eye gouge.
Yep.
That was it.
Or
fish hook.
Fish hooking.
They couldn't fish hook. I'd love to see somebody get fish hooked though and tap out.
We gotta save some subjects for future.
Yeah,
episodes.
we'll get it. We'll get it. Have you ever seen a fish hook? Oh, there he's got it, right?
Yeah.
So we'll talk about the gangs of New York. Yeah. So we'll talk about it next time.
All righty. Well, thank you for tuning in, everyone. We will see you next time.
All right, bye.